Ice, like geology, provides a view into the deep time of our planet's environmental history. From the glaciers of Greenland to the Antarctic ice shelves, ice is the most visible indicator of the short-term effects of climate change. Earth's frozen regions are like an icy tesseract, a four-dimensional global clock that gives us a view 800,000 years backward into Earth's past climate and forwards towards the imminent effects of global warming. I created ice time as a poetic response to the accelerating changes we are observing in Earth's ecosystem. In the tradition of the early explorers, we set out to find the ice. This is the ice fjord at Ilulissat, also Ilulissat, Western Greenland. It's where Jakobshavn, the world's fastest glacier, calves giant pieces of ice into the sea. It became immediately clear where the word iceberg, berg, which is the German for mountain, comes from. These things were huge. We filmed for almost 3 weeks in Greenland. Since we were there in June, we had 24 hours of daylight, so we filmed literally around the clock. This shot was taken in the middle of the night. In Greenland, we learned that scale is the most challenging aspect of glacial ice to portray. So you maybe see my partner there holding the microphone. We are very small. Ice Time is an immersive, multi-projection video and audio mediascape that minutely examines the structure of ice to reveal the time that's embedded within. It is a document of this, our unique moment in glacial space-time. Artists function as cultural antennae. Artist theorist and founder of the Center for Advanced Visual Studies at MIT, Georgi Kepish, called artists living seismographs, and I quote, "Artists are living seismographs with a special sensitivity to the human condition. They record our conflicts and hopes, and their immediate and direct response to the sensuous qualities of the world help us establish an entente with the living present." As a cultural seismograph, the purview of the artist is passion, to amplify reality and function as a channel for their audience. I approached the creation of Ice Time as both an artist and as a scientist. For me, the integrated practice of art and science embodies a fundamental notion of interdisciplinary proficiency. In my research, content formation is the act of discovering a vocabulary of new metaphors from the synergies that arise out of juxtaposing overlapping icons, tropes, and analogies that are shared across disciplines. This practice entails a direct engagement with materials and methods, combined with a commitment to deep research, seeking the poetic artifacts that emerge from my research and scientific collaborations. With this artwork, I want to express the beauty, the rationality, and the gravitas of ice, the poetics of ice as revealed by current climate research. The Ice Time installation details the cracks and bubbles and different forms that ice takes in crystals, glaciers, ice cores, and other natural ice formations. The phenomenon of ice is revealed through different scales and speeds of observation. In the video installation, visitors enter into an embodied experience of frozen water. The photography and audio recordings for Ice Time are meant to create an intimate connection between the visitor and the ice through time-lapse photography, microphotography, satellite observations, and direct contact audio recordings. 6 large projections and a 3-dimensional soundscape are laid out in a hexagonal structure. The hexagonal shape of the installation echoes the molecular structure of ice as well as the shape of a tesseract passing through our space. viewers move between the translucent screens, the images combine in crystalline collages that change and harmonize, creating a dynamic, evolving composition. Each viewer's experience is unique as they are immersed in the glacier's existence. Oops. Oh no. Oh, that's bad. Sorry. I just cut off my film, and I don't think I can speed it back up. Okay. I have to go back. Sorry about that. I'll go back to the film afterwards. The three-dimensional soundscape is a fundamental element of the installation, composed from field recordings of live ice by Angelica von Chamier. The audio environment circulates through the space like a solid fluid, much like a glacier. Scientists are obliged by the norms of their discipline to remain dispassionate and objective about their research, treating it as an intellectual problem. Michael Mann, author of The Hockey Stick and the Climate Wars, stated, "I felt that scientists should take an entirely dispassionate view when discussing matters of science. We should do our best to divorce ourselves from all of our typically human inclinations, emotion, empathy, and concern." The evidence being quantified by climate researchers at this point, however, challenged the individual's ability to maintain cool dispassion in the face of current global changes they, of all people, are most aware of. So this is where art can take over. A number of scientists contributed to the Icetime project with their knowledge, their advice, and their data. I got my first advice on where to go from the geologist Twyla Moon at the University of Bristol. She and her colleagues Stephen Conford and Michael Cooper taught me an immense amount about glaciology. Physicist Kenneth Liebrecht at Caltech was the first scientist to come on board with the project. Liebrecht studies and photographs the morphology of ice crystals, more commonly known as snowflakes. I was able to meet with David and Denise Holland from New York University while I was in Greenland. David Holland is one of the scientists who first realized that the glaciers are being melted from below by the warming seawater as well as from above from the warm air. Henry Kaiser is one of the world's foremost under-ice divers, as well as a professional jazz guitarist. Henry provided material from underwater in Antarctica where we couldn't go. He told me that there are less under-ice divers in the world than there are astronauts. Finally, we worked with Joan Fitzpatrick, Jeff Hargreaves, and Eric Cravens at the National Ice Laboratory in Denver, spending 2 days filming in the freezers there, very cold. Glacial ice cores contain the time axis of Earth's climate. So this is Black Beauty, the thickest layer of volcanic ash found in an ice core to date. It was created by a layer of volcanic ash that settled on the West Antarctic ice sheet approximately 22 to 23,000 years ago, and it's about as thick as my pinky. Time itself is made visible within the microstructures of glacial ice. So this is a 0.4 millimeter thin slice of the Gisp ice core that's drilled from the Greenland ice sheet. This slice is from approximately 600 meters deep. 600 meters down in Greenland corresponds to about 3,289 years before present, which is 1950. So the air trapped in these tiny bubbles is from the time of King Tut in ancient Egypt, and we were breathing this air as the ice sublimated in the freezer. In the open work, Umberto Eco proposes the role of art. Art in general may be seen as conveying a much higher degree of information, though not necessarily a higher degree of meaning than more conventional kinds of communication. It takes on a mediating role between the abstract categories of science and the living matter of our sensibility. It almost becomes a sort of transcendental scheme that allows us to comprehend new aspects of the world. These are samples of ice I collected from everywhere I went. So my next step is to take Icetime on the road, I hope, to museums, galleries, and festivals so that a broad audience has the opportunity to experience it. My aim is to provide an opportunity for others to develop their own relationship to ice and to sensitize them to the essential role ice plays in all of our lives, even though it seems so remote. My hope with Ice Time is to bring ice closer to home. So, of course, this project would not have been possible without support from my department at the University of Southern California, from NACV, and from these other funders. And of course, my partner and collaborator, Angelica Fonchamier. Thank you, and now I'm gonna see if I can get the video up.